Hi, my name is Keri Barnum. I am here for Free Advice Friday, the hour every Friday where we get together, we talk about book marketing, authorship, anything having to do with the writing and publishing experience. And today we've got some live questions. You can join us at newshelves.com/FAF. Or you can also just send in your questions in advance. If you send them to info at newshelves.com, we get those questions and we try to answer them live. So we are excited. We've had some questions come in over the holiday break that I wanted to answer, of course, as well as answering those live questions. So hopefully everyone has been having a great holiday break. We were just chatting that we've had quite a bit of junk food and things, and it's time to reset soon. But until then, let's just talk about all the fun stuff. So one of the questions that we got in this week was about how you can attract people to your newsletter. And I have talked before about how when you want people to be attracted to your newsletter, you really have to give them something of value in exchange for their email address. And when you do that, typically it is going to be a short story. It's going to be a whole book. It may be, if you've got a nonfiction book, some type of PDF or worksheet. If you have a children's book, maybe it's coloring sheets or a crossword puzzle, but it has to be something of value that people really want. And so a question that came in this week was from a traditionally published author who had a question about what they could and couldn't use as a giveaway from their book that was traditionally published. And the question was, could they give away a sample chapter? Could they give away the first chapter of their book, even though it was traditionally published by a publishing house? And while that will certainly vary based on your contract with your publisher and your publisher's permission, typically you're not allowed to use anything more than short excerpts as a general giveaway. You often will have access to a full PDF of your book, even if it's traditionally published, so that you can send it out for review or for endorsement, that kind of thing. But when you're just giving it out to everyone who signs up to your newsletter, your publisher's not going to be too happy with that, because to them that's lost revenue. Now, they may say, sure, give away a chapter of the book and link it over to Amazon or to our website, so that way you can kind of garner more traffic, but they may not. So you can certainly ask, but my suggestion is a little bit different. Rather than a first chapter of a book, which doesn't always go over so well. That first chapter, it's like, great, I have a first chapter, but I don't have a completed story. It can make us feel like we're kind of missing something and a little cheated, which we don't want people to feel like. So rather than doing the first chapter of a book, which may or may not infringe on your publisher's rights, my suggestion is to do a short story or a prequel in the same line of your books. So if you have a series, consider doing a prequel, consider doing a short story. It doesn't need to be a full-length novel, but it should be anywhere between 10 to 50 pages. It should have a story to it, and it should lead into your first book so that people kind of get a taste for your characters and they want to read more. They don't feel cheated. And that's really the key there. We want to make sure that we're giving people something that feels complete, that they don't feel like you kind of hooked them in and then you're holding the rest of the book for ransom. Another option may be is if you don't write a series, if you write standalone books, just do a standalone short story, just something that's standalone that is that you kind of can give away. And it doesn't have to be in any specific world, but it should be in your genre. It should still call to the same readership that you have. So that's an option as well. And those are kind of the things that I would do. I wouldn't so much go for something that's been traditionally published. Again, if you want to go after the permission from your publisher, you can do that though. And I personally use BookFunnel for those giveaways. If you go to YouTube, youtube.com/newshelvesbooks, we do have a video up there on how to put a book up on BookFunnel, how to use it to grow your newsletter. But there are other ways to do it as well. Another question that we got in by email, and I've skimmed through these, I haven't totally read them, so excuse me if I'm a little slow in reading them. I am new to book publishing world, and so this may be a dumb question, No, I don't think so. But I'm planning to print my book doing bulk printing or offset printing rather than print on demand. Once the books are printed, can you explain how that process works as far as with Amazon and the other online retailers? Do I need a book distributor to get my book listed on the retail sites if I'm planning to store and ship the books myself? Or can I list it myself directly with the websites? And with Amazon, for example, would I enroll in an Amazon Seller Central instead of doing Kindle Direct Publishing? So the question at whole is, if you decide to do offset print, how do you get those books out there? And I'm seeing more and more authors asking this question. Authors who have art books, children's books, anything that is very graphic heavy. We are seeing more and more people who are going the offset print route because it's cheaper per book. Now, it's more of an upfront cost because you may be having to print 1,000 copies of the book and fronting that cost, but it is an option. So when we're doing offset print, how do you sell the books? Obviously, you can put them up on your website and you can sell them directly, but how do you get them through the major channels, the retail channels that we tend to see book sales like Amazon? And you are right there with it, that if you are going to sell through Amazon with your offset print, the option would be to go through Seller Central. You set up an account and you sell your book there as a basically as a storefront, and you sell it and you ship it directly through Amazon with Seller Central. Now, keep in mind that if you were doing an ebook to go along with this, you would still use KDP. And many times, even if it is a children's book, I recommend that you do go ahead and do an ebook and you do get it up on KDP. Here's why. Is if you don't have KDP, you do not have access to Amazon advertising. And advertising is one of the best ways to get our books sold on Amazon. So what I see a lot of people do, and what I recommend fairly often, is that even if you're doing offset print for your paperback or your hardcover, that you do an ebook and you put it up on KDP so you can still run ads for the ebook. Keeping in mind that your ebook and your paperback or hardcover are going to be linked on their sales pages. So when you're driving traffic and people to the ebook, you're also driving traffic to the paperback and the hardcover. So oftentimes you'll drive traffic to those ebooks, but you won't get ebook sales. You'll get paperback or hardcover sales. So that's one way to do it. Let's talk about those other retailers. Let's talk about Walmart.com, Target.com, Ingram, Baker and Taylor. How do you get those offset printed books into those places? And there are two options. Number one is a book distributor. And a book distributor is someone that you work with. You pay them a fee to warehouse your books, and they use their connections with Ingram and Baker and Taylor and all of those places to get your book listed for wholesale and with retailers. And they do some marketing, they put you in a catalog, but really their job is not so much to sell your book. Their job is to make sure that your book is available through traditional sales channels. And again, you pay them a fee. Typically, there's a setup fee for warehousing and metadata, as well as a percentage fee, much like we pay Ingram 15% when they sell our books through Ingram Spark. You pay approximately, depending on the book and depending on the book distributor, you're going to pay approximately 15% to that book distributor for listing your book and selling it through their own sales channels. This is how we get our books into Ingram and Baker and Taylor, keeping in mind that Baker and Taylor is one of the top places that libraries order. So working with a book distributor, instead of going print on demand, may actually get you in more wholesale channels, which is great. And that is one option. And very often do keep in mind that when you're working with a book distributor, many of them will also offer to do Amazon for you. So rather than doing Amazon Seller Central, where you still have to ship out the books, you can work with your book distributor to get into Amazon, Ingram, Baker and Taylor, and all of those outlets through one person. You're not making as much per title though, as if you were doing Amazon Seller Central. So options are there. Third option, and this is by far the hardest, I will not lie. If you are printing these books and you intend to warehouse them yourself and ship them yourself, and you don't want to take a profit cut, You want to work directly with Baker and Taylor, directly with Ingram. You can apply to do that. However, keep in mind, Baker and Taylor and Ingram are looking for customers that drive high demand. Ingram is looking for sellers that sell upwards of $10,000 a year in order for them to take your book. Baker and Taylor, they want to know that they're not stocking a book that might get ordered once or twice a month. They're looking for a partner that will push books and make them money. They have big accounts and they don't really want to mess with little accounts that are not going to get a lot of sales. So you will have to be able to prove that you have a past sales and that there's demand for future sales. So you can apply, but it doesn't mean they will take your book. That is why working with a book distributor can be such a nice partnership, because the book distributor is working with multiple authors. And so their account is bigger, and that is how they get into those wholesale channels. So again, there are options and it can be done. If you have a book that's really just flying off the shelves, you can do everything yourself and keep higher profits, but you have to have those sales and you have to have a proven need for your book to get into the big players like Baker and Taylor and Ingram. You pay a book distributor is another option, and you work with them. And then if you were just selling through your website and Amazon, you can do your website, you can do Amazon Seller Central. All of them are options, and you may explore. You may start just your website and Amazon Seller Central and kind of see what the market and the need is. And if there is a big call for your book, maybe you can apply directly to Ingram, Spark, and Baker and Taylor, or maybe you decide it's worth it to have it in those wholesale channels through a book distributor. Let's see, and we have a couple of follow-up questions. We're going to go back to the newsletter questions because we had some follow-up questions. How do I let people know that I have a giveaway in exchange for signing up for my newsletter? Facebook, Goodreads, all of the above. Make a blog post about it. Tell people that you were offering a free book and go check it out, go grab it. And then have them sign up for your newsletter to get it. You can also post it on Facebook. Run a Facebook ad. I started this with a client that I'm working with. He has a prequel short story that we have been giving away in the back of his ebooks to get his readers over to his mailing list. And what we did is we took that same book, we put it up on BookFunnel, and on BookFunnel, you have the option to create multiple landing pages. So we created a landing page that was meant for the back of his books and could capture readers that way and make them sign, well, not make them, but it requires you sign up for his newsletter in order to get the prequel. So that's one landing page that we have, and we have trackable stats on that to see how many people are converting. Then we have another landing page, and the second landing page is for BookFunnel swaps and promos. So he can actually see if he's doing a swap, how many people are indeed going over to his page with that swap and joining his newsletter. Then we have a third landing page, and this one is used only on Facebook for his advertising. And what this allows us to do is, even though the changes in iOS and Apple and privacy and all that now can kind of shift the data we get from Facebook ads and not allow us a full view, what this allows us to do is this allows us to see how many people are visiting this link that is only used on his Facebook ads. And it allows us to see how many people are downloading. So we can see what he's getting for his ad spend, not only a number of impressions and clicks, but how many people are actually going to that page according to BookFunnel, how many people are converting and downloading. And it's been really nice to be able to use kind of all of those checks and balances for a bigger picture. So there are absolutely ways to do that. Share it on Twitter, share it with other authors, see if you can do an author swap where you can kind of say, hey, I'd love to feature you if you'll, feature me, and we can each give away a book or a short story. And that's a really great way. And having an author that writes in your same genre is a very smart move, or someone who kind of has your same audience can be a really great way to do that. Or if you're doing a blog tour, on your blog tour, can you offer this giveaway so that anyone who's on the blog tour can kind of get that download? There are a lot of ways to get it out there, and you start small and then you kind of build up on it. And it's something that's really lovely and kind of evergreen if it's a standalone story or a lead into a series you already have. And can you use that novella later or a short story later and make it longer and publish it? Absolutely. It's yours. It's your story. So if you later decide you want to take that short story and turn it into a full-length book and publish it and sell it, you can do that because you own it. You own the rights. It's not up on Kindle Unlimited. It's not published. It is something that you own. So you have the rights in the usage of that. Let's see, Randy, we have a question back on the book distributors, and do we have a list of preferred book distributors on the People We Like page on New Shelves? I don't believe we have a list of book distributors, but I will tell you, I have worked with Pathway Books and adore them. They are a wonderful company and they do well with small and mid-level press. And Itasca, Itasca, also does very well. Actually, I have someone right now, Nancy, who joins us on our calls quite a bit. She had her book not only printed with Itasca, but she's also using them as a book distributor. So they do book printing as well as an option. And I mean, it's really a beautiful quality book. Oh, I was hoping I opened to one of the, it's really a beautiful quality book. It's got different sizing. It's got custom sizing because it was printed, and Itasca did this, and then they are distributing the book as well. So I've had quite a few clients who are small presses have used Itasca recently. They work really well with indies, and overall, I think people have been very happy with them in their service. So I would recommend both of those companies, Pathway Books and Itasca. And what if I wanted to give away my first chapter to whet their appetite for the rest of the book on how to lose weight? Would Amazon have a problem with this since they give away 10%, not the whole chapter? If you are on Amazon, will only have a problem with this if your book's in Kindle Select for Kindle Unlimited. If you enter into Kindle Select, you actually are saying that the book in whole will be exclusive to Amazon. So if your book is not on Kindle Unlimited, have a blast. It's your book. You can put it up anywhere you want to. If your book is on Kindle Select for Kindle Unlimited, it is against the terms and policies. And I know what people are thinking. Well, will they really know? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they'll never know, but maybe someone reports you. I've heard of it happen, unfortunately. And then that book is taken down from Kindle Unlimited, or they, sometimes they get a slap on the hand. Sometimes it's taken down. I think sometimes it depends on how much revenue you're pulling in for Amazon, or what rep you tend to get that time. But if you are just have your book listed on Kindle, but you've also got it on Draft to Digital and you're wide, you have full permission of that book and you can do a chapter if you'd like. Let's see. I have more questions. Let me find that. All right. Not that one. All right. Now, this one, I glanced and I didn't fully read it. So Linnea, I'm going to give it a try. I have a somewhat complicated two-part question, and we'll understand if it doesn't fit on Free Advice Friday. We'll see. I'll try. I understand that most bookstores like a 40% discount from the list price and returnability. And to provide that, Ingram requires that the publisher set a 55% discount, because remember that it's 55% discount, but Ingram takes 15%, which leaves the retailer with 40%. For some of our books printed on demand, the 55% discount would require that we price the book too high for the market. We've been assuming that if we have to set a lower discount for Ingram, say 35% at worst, bookstores would get that discount minus Ingram's 15%. So for instance, for one expensive to produce paperback with lots of full color underwater photos, we set the discount at 35%, figuring that bookstores would be offered 20%. Not great, but maybe okay for a book they like, given that besides the discount, they get 3 months to pay for or return the books, and free shipping both ways. But recently, the manager of a small independent bookstore told me that Ingram's discount to him is only 5%, not 20%. So he is happy to sell the book via the store's online ordering system, where Ingram collects the money up front and fulfills the order, and shipping it to the store, and the store won't stock it though. Can you explain how Ingram's discounting works? Does it vary with the size of the bookstore, the size of the order, something else? Let's tackle that first. So the way that Ingram's discount works can fluctuate. While typically that 15% is rule of thumb, they want to make sure that they get paid. And sometimes, depending on the store size, the ordering size, or on the overall price of the book and what price they get, they can take more than that 15%. 15% is kind of the rule of thumb and standard and very common, especially when you do a 55% discount. But if you're doing less of a discount, sometimes they do take more. And if it's a very small store that's not doing high volume, they can kind of lessen their discount. Absolutely, they can. Now, I will not even pretend to know all of the terms of service for Ingram Spark and for Ingram. It is a long list and it updates, so you should definitely check out there for the finer details, but it can fluctuate and they can offer different pricing. Major retailers should get that higher discount, but again, it depends on your book, how much they're getting from the profit of the book. So if your print price is higher, which actually makes the actual profit lower, sometimes they'll take more. And so that's something you want to go read the fine print. You want to look at your book specifically because that is pretty complex. But just know, yes, that is a thing and it can happen. And then we had a second part to the question. Let's see. Ingram Spark's print on demand printing charge is higher than Amazon's, and its print quality, in their opinion, is noticeably lower than Amazon's for anything we've done that has photos. Keep in mind that when you are using Amazon print on demand, they are automatically, I believe, doing premium color, whereas on Ingram Spark, you have the option to do either standard or premium color. So that's something to keep in mind as well when you're doing print with Ingram Spark and KDP for a color book. And that would affect both color and black and white. Also keep in mind, if you're doing premium print versus standard print, it affects the overall quality of those images. So I'm thinking of giving Amazon the 60% discount for expanded distribution, which includes Ingram, rather than deal with Ingram directly on the production and pricing. Any advice on this? I think that if you know that bookstores are not going to be your market for this book because of pricing issues, then you can certainly do that and just do expanded distribution. It's an option. Do keep in mind that that means that you are giving a small profit to Amazon through the sale of the book. So kind of look at it, look at what your pricing options are and if it makes sense or not. And then it's a personal decision. If you know that bookstores are not going to be the main market for that and it's not something that you're going to push or market, then it matters a lot less. Your book would still be available from Ingram, which means libraries could order it. It means that you could get it into a lot of other markets, barnesandnoble.com, target.com, and all of those. So it's an option, and it's not a bad option. It just depends on your personal marketing goals and what you hope to do with the book. If you want bookstores, I think you need to go through Ingram Spark directly. But if bookstores, again, are not really even on the table, then that's a different matter altogether. Let's see. Yes, and also another side note that Ingram's hardcover printing doesn't support all the trim sizes are pretty limited right now for Amazon or KDP's hardcover printing. So that may not even be an option for some books yet, which is right on. Although I have been very happy so far with KDP's hardcover printing. I've been happy with the books that I have gotten, but most of them, if not all of them, have been at a 6x9. So hopefully that helps. I know that was kind of a big question and we broke it down a little bit, but definitely do what's best for you. Do what's best for your marketing needs. The more authors I talk to, and I talk to so many authors in a month. I talk to literally over 100 authors one-on-one every month. And what always comes down to it is that sometimes it's not about right or wrong. It's your goals and what's going to further your goals. That may be Kindle Unlimited. It may be going wide with your ebook. It may be Ingram Spark or Amazon. Depending on your goals is what your decision should be based on. There is no one size fits all. If anyone tells you there is a one size fits all, that's not true. It's very misleading. And that is why it's so important to make sure that you're looking at your audience, your book, your goals, and you're building out a marketing plan based on that. You want something that hits your market, your goals, and is sustainable for you, because that's what's really important for the growth of yourself as an author and for your name as an author. And I've got over here in the chat, I'm gonna see if I can catch it. Let's see. Yes, and so technically, thank you, Nancy. Bookmobile is the printer that works with Itasca. They are side by side. They work together. I think they're even owned by the same company, but it is technically Bookmobile who prints and Itasca who is the distributor. Thank you for that correction. Good. I'm glad that helped a little bit. Like I said, it's kind of one of those things that it's a little specific to you. It doesn't happen to everybody, so definitely dig in, but at least you know it's not some weird fluke that happened to you. Sometimes the pricing does shift. Let's see. Okay, we did have a question. Thank you, Wendy. I will cover Bowker. There was a question about Bowker and how we assign ISBNs in Bowker, which I will tackle and share my screen in just 1 minute. The other question is from Kate, is how do you find out if your self-published book by Ingram is in their catalog? It's an online catalog, Kate. So if you have a book that you've published through Ingram Spark or printed through Ingram Spark, it is in the Ingram online catalog that will show up. They also have an advertising catalog which is, I still believe, a digital catalog, but it's like a PDF catalog. And when you approve your book for distribution, there's a box that says, would you like to advertise your book or something like that? It's $85 to put you in their advanced catalog, and that is an actual like a marketing piece that goes into a PDF. I don't think it's printed anymore, but I could be wrong. So that's kind of their actual catalog that is sent out to booksellers and libraries and places like that. But it's not how do I say, it puts you in front of them, but it's like a magazine. Just because I get a magazine from Home Depot doesn't mean that I'm looking at every little thing. It doesn't mean someone's coming to my house, knocking on my door and saying, hey, do you want this lawnmower? It puts you in the marketing magazine and it gives you an opportunity, but it's not necessarily a specific call out to your book. All right, we're going to do Bowker real quick because we had questions about this. So let me pull it up and then I'll share my screens, because you know I like to share screens. It is my favorite part about Zoom because I am such a visual person. And for everyone who does not know, that means we're going to myidentifiers.com for Bowker. So myidentifiers.com is for Bowker. And I'm going to use my friend Trina's account. I know that she will not mind, as an example. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Share. And the question was really a catalyst of, you know, how do we get all of the information in Bowker? Because when we do Bowker now, here we go. We are on the My Identifiers website. This is where when you purchase your own ISBNs in the US, you do it through Bowker at myidentifiers.com. And this is where you assign a title. And you will see that these have a title already assigned, and then here, open ISBNs that they own but haven't been assigned. So when you're assigning a title, you just click on it, and they give you a worksheet to fill out. It is a little clumsy, I will not lie. It's a little clumsy, but it's not hard, which is important. You will see these little asterisks, which means you have to fill out this portion of the metadata. So you've got your book title, you'll have to put that in. Your subtitle is optional. However, highly recommended. The more metadata you put in here, the easier it will be to search for your book later, the more fields that will show up when you are looking for your book on WorldCat or on different areas, because even though you upload that metadata on places like Ingram Spark and Amazon, the hub of information for major retailers and bookstores and things does come from Bowker, and they will sometimes make sure it matches. So it's important to do that. So your book title, your subtitle, this is where you would put your cover file. It is just the front cover. Let me say that again. It is like your ebook cover. It is just your front cover. Please do not do a full cover spread. It will end up being really eensy tiny, and it will not match with everything else. When you go to places, it's just the front cover, almost as if it was an ebook. So you do that. You have your book description that you want to put in there, your medium, whether it's audiobook, ebook, or print. So let's say we want a print book, and then it has all of these other questions, hardcover, paperback. So you have to go through and you have to fill out all of that. Then you have the authors and the contributors. So, whoops, I skipped a section. Then you have your subjects. So you have your genres here, and they're pretty broad. It's not all of the BICITE categories, but you find the one or two that fit your book best, and you select those. And then you have the author and contributors. So you can put your information in there. You can do a biography, which I highly recommend. If you have a children's book and you have an illustrator, you may choose to do that as well. So that you can have that up there. You don't have to do an editor or anything like that. I get that question asked a lot by, do I have to do an editor? No, if you have an anthology and you have someone who has kind of edited and put this book together, that's when you would typically list an editor. The abridged by or adapted by, those are options, but you don't have to do them. And as far as the description in Bowker, it is typically your back cover copy, but it doesn't have to be. It could be a short synopsis. It is something you can update over time, but make sure you're fairly confident in it, because once this goes into the systems, it is so slow to update everywhere. So make sure you're fairly confident in that before you upload it. All right, you do your publishing house or your imprint. You have the option to add an imprint on the company tab. So you want to make sure that you have your publishing house or your imprint, your publication day. If your book is in advance, let's say I know my book is coming out in May of 22, but I don't know exactly what date. Just pick a date you can update later. So then you pick a day and I can say, all right, I'm going to pick May 13th of 2022. And then right here for title status, you've got your options here. So this would be forthcoming. So you can kind of change your date. Make sure once your book is published, you come over and you change it to an active record. So you have the options, or no longer, out of print, out of stock, that kind of thing. You have the options to do that. And then your target audience. This is also a question I get a lot. I don't see just books. I don't see just adult books. So a lot of people will do things like adult education or family. Nope, no. Trade. It's a trade book. Most adult fiction books are trade adult books. Unless you really have a college textbook or you're doing truly adult education, something like that, you typically want to go straight for trade, unless, of course, you have juvenile or young adult. And then you have to, of course, set a dollar amount. Again, this can be changed later. And then you hit the submit button. But what Wendy's asking is, all right, but there should be more, right? Don't I have more options? And the answer is yes. And the way that you find those hidden options is you go from the short form, which is here, which has just the basics on it. And at the very top, you will see if you need to enter volume or edition information, click here to use the advanced form. When you click here, it opens up the form and actually gives you 4 different tabs. It gives you more options of input. So we can actually do a translated title, a copyright year. We have more options. On contributors, it gives you, more of a page here. Then you can actually pick your format size. You can say what your trim size is. You can say how much your book weighs, all sorts of things. So you have options here as well. And then your sales and pricing has a page also. So this is how you get in. Yeah, see where I said you have an imprint? You can do your imprint here if you have one. And the way you put your imprint in, I'll show you in just a second. But there are more options when you do that advanced form. So if you're feeling like you wanted to input something and you're feeling like you can't find it, it's probably on that advanced form. And then you submit when you're done, which I'm not going to do because of course we didn't actually do anything. Now, if you're looking on how to find your imprint or how to add an imprint, you want to go to your account, your profile data, my company, and at the bottom of my company is an option to add an imprint. I don't remember what kind of information is on that page, so I'm not going to do that because I'm in an active account and I don't want to show their information. But go to the my account, my profile data, my company, scroll down to the bottom, and that is where you can add another imprint. So if your Valker account is under Keri Barnum, but I want my imprint to be New Shelf's Books, then that is where I would add that so that it shows up as the imprint for my book. Let's see. And I'm going to just make sure I see some chats. I want to make sure that I got it and I didn't miss anything here. Oh, just everyone being happy. Yes, anthologies and textbooks for editors here, straight on. All right, you guys. Well, I hope that kind of takes some of the mystery out of my identifiers in Valker. Again, it's a little clunky. It's a really, it's been around for a long time. So it is a little clunky, but I think that once you get the hang of it and you know where to find things, it's not nearly as scary. So hopefully that helps. For everyone who is with us live, I had promised that we would end early and we would go to a special Zoom where we could actually interact with each other, calling it happy hour. Bring your coffee, bring your cocktail, whatever makes you happy. So we are going to end Free Advice Friday just a little bit early so we can get on and do that. Anyone who wants to join, I am posting that Zoom link for our meeting where you can interact over on the chat. You can join us, have your microphone on, have your video on, or have it off. It's completely up to you, but the opportunity's there. I'll be there for a little while. For everyone else, thank you. Thank you for a weirdly wonderful year. 2021 in so many ways for me personally was a lot harder than 2020, honestly, but it has been wonderful to have you all here. It's been such a blessing to have your company and your friendship throughout the year, and I appreciate so much that you join us every Friday. I'll be back next Friday, so please join us. If you have questions, just email them in info@newshelves.com, and we will answer them next week, and we will see you next year. Bye guys, and I'll see some of you over on the meeting group. See you then.